Hey guys, back with I don't know what video log number, but week 6 weeks out video. And so Rye's back, sticky note holder is back this week. Yay, we've moved up. It's a big pad.
Bigger pad.
Bigger pad. So yeah, 6 weeks out was yesterday. I made a drop on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday lane changed my food, dropped a little bit, up my cardio a little bit, and I'm already feeling that. Yesterday was pretty rough.
Had a couple solid power naps.
Yeah, yesterday was pretty rough day, but that's good and that's expected, and that usually is a good sign for me. And at about 6 weeks out, we usually get pretty aggressive so that I'm ready on time. So I'm just, kind of riding it out, and I had a refeed, so I feel a little better, so that's good. And
That's
keep me on track. Yeah, I had a bite ice cream.
So where are we?
Well, I'm at home. This is a new place. So I went back to South Florida, hanging out at the house for about a week and a half. And whenever I travel home, and I think a lot of people can relate, when you kind of get out of your routine and your little comfort zone with all of your foods and how you do everything and your schedule, it can kind of be hard. And I notice that always whenever I travel places for an extended period of time, not like a day, but for a few days, and especially home, because home is like, oh, let's do this, let's go do that, let's eat here, let's eat that.
Family time events and
just things
be prepared for that.
Come up, and I think if you're not prepared or your family isn't on board, it's really hard. And my family is definitely very on board, and they're great about cooking things that I can always usually eat, or having options that I can eat. I mean, my family's super healthy, so
Yeah.
It's
hard to find carbs around here.
Yeah, so it works for me. So they're really healthy, and they're great about if I'm like, okay, I gotta take this out. I already weighed everything, so just cook it for me this way, or so they understand. And I hate being really obsessive about I have to weigh everything down to the gram, and I hate doing this. But at some point, when I'm really close like this, I need to, and they understand. But I do realize that a lot of families don't get that, or a lot of families don't eat the way that we do, so it's a lot harder. And then that can kind of bridge a gap in between you wanting to see your family.
Yeah.
And that's
not good. You don't need that kind of tension in the household. So also talk about, because you're 6 weeks out, so you kind of take that step back and try and weigh as much stuff as you can and try and be as on point as you can.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not that far out, what do you think some people could do? Like getting in the kitchen, making it more of like a family event, of starting to cook, and getting everybody together and trying to make everyone see a little bit healthier choices, just because you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of help dictate what goes into what.
Yeah, so definitely either helping with the grocery shopping, the start at the source of actually getting good foods, or being like, oh, let's all cook together and let's try this new recipe I found, or if you're having like a dinner party or something, like you can make 2 dishes that are healthy and that everyone can enjoy. And eating healthy, obviously, as everyone who's probably listening to this knows, doesn't have to taste bad. But if you aren't used to that kind of eating, some people can be very resistant to that. So really just opening your family's eyes or your friends' eyes or whoever to healthier options, and cooking together, I think, is really fun for a lot of people.
Yeah. It kind of brings everybody together, and it definitely doesn't hurt when you're a good cook. So, thankfully, I've had
Hair
that
flipped.
at least.
Yeah, like today, I made a belated Father's Day brunch. So I made eggs, which obviously we love eggs. Bacon, which that was for Dad, which
Real bacon.
So you can have bacon. I personally don't like bacon, so I didn't have any of that. But made bacon, and then I made hash browns, like the kind that I already made with nothing else in them. And, just a lot of seasonings. I also had egg whites. And then I made this like frou-frou scone stuff, which I also didn't eat. But it's really just...
It's really good. It's like chocolate chip cookie dough and coconut. Oh,
yeah. They're actually they're pretty healthy. It's sticky fingers, if anyone. You just add water, and then you just mix it up. But so for me, I'm on prep, and I measured everything out that I needed to. And I normally always eat eggs and egg whites. And then I had the hash browns this morning, and then I just, I made the whole thing. I weighed it, the whole entire thing, and then I decided how many portions I wanted, which was 2, and then I weighed that out perfectly for myself, and then I moved on, and we enjoyed a breakfast, and I wasn't isolated from that, and it was fun.
Yeah. So that should help people not be that oddball out at family events.
Yeah. You don't have to bring your baggie. You can make things work. It just takes a little bit of planning and a little bit of extra thought.
So we talked about the tough couple days, right, with your job?
Yeah, it's been a little bit rough with, especially yesterday. I was really feeling yesterday. Like when I just woke up and I was tired. I was like, I slept fine, but I just woke up like, I really remember I didn't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, we trained at like 11 till 1-ish.
Yeah.
And then I ran some errands and came back over here around 4 or 5, and she was drooling on her pillow.
Hey!
So that was a solid... Hopefully she got a solid rest period in. And then we went for...
Tell everyone about that.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about the cardio. You want to talk about your wrist?
Yeah, so I did something. I think I slept on it wrong, honestly, but I feel like I did something. It really, really hurts.
She's injury prone.
Yeah, I would like look at something wrong and I get hurt. So I don't know what it is, and I'm left-handed, so that kind of is a little bit of a bummer too because it's my left wrist. But so I have to be really careful with things. So I've been wearing my wrist straps for everything, even if I wouldn't normally do that. And the ones that I have from Slingshot, they're just like the normal wrist straps, but they're pretty long and they're pretty tight, so it kind of keeps everything all in. And
how'd that affect your cardio also? You haven't been able to push the prowler.
Yeah, I haven't. No prowler. I did car pushes earlier in the week, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Not going to pull the sled. So it's mostly going to be any kind of sprinting or walking or any kind of machine.
And we're lucky enough to
cardio.
We have an old dump that's turned into a park around here called...
It's actually nice. It's not
really
like
cool.
a dump, but it
the hills are huge, so a lot of high schools and other athletes train and do hill sprints there. So
yeah, we did that,
lucky in that case.
all cross country and track for me growing up, and then so it's like my favorite place to come when I'm down here because it's the only place in Florida that I know of that's like that. Clearly,
mountain ranges in South Florida.
Pretty limited. So I did sprints there the other day, and I did sprints in the neighborhood the other day because I had a few left, and that was probably not the fastest because I actually used to run and that was embarrassing. But that's what I have to do right now, which is fine because I have to work around injuries and not just say, oh, I'm not going to do anything. Or I'm also not going to be stupid, which I usually am, and say, oh, whatever, it's fine. And then I'll just, do 8 million prowler pushes and then have my hand in a, wrist brace or something.
Getting a new cast before the show.
Oh, jeez.
Also, cardio intervals and...
Yes. Okay, that's what I knew I wanted to talk about something about cardio. Thanks, babe. So with my cardio, a lot of people ask about cardio in general, so I wanted to kind of go over how I do that. So I do HIIT, which would be high-intensity interval training. So there is usually a period of a warm-up and a cool-down of just kind of moderate intensity, and then you have a period where you do an all-out effort, and then you come back down to rest, all-out effort, etc. And so I have a set amount of intervals that I need to do per week right now, and that number will increase as I get closer to the show generally. So what I used to do is I would have set days, okay, I'm going to do HIIT on this day, and then I have to do this many, and then it would end up, by the end of prep, it would be so many in one training session, and then something at that point has to suffer, in my opinion.
It's going to be the intensity, usually.
It's usually going to be, by the end of, after I've done a few, it's hard to kind of keep that intensity when you are in a calorie deficit, and then it just becomes interval training, and it's not necessarily high-intensity interval training. There's a big difference. So I feel that I can't give enough of an effort. So what I have found is actually if I have a set amount of intervals I have to do per week, right? Some days I'm feeling really good and I can do 8 intervals at a time. Other days I can only do 5. That's fine. I just keep track of how many I'm doing. And then depending on what, when I did car pushes, I did 8 of those because I was really feeling good that day. And then when I was at Vista View, I could only get 6 sprints because I was kicking my ass. So it all depends, and then I did those sprints the other day in the house.
5 out front.
Yeah, I did 5 30-second sprints. And so what I do is I break that up. As long as I hit my total number throughout the week, I feel like that is better for me. And that's taken some trial and error, but I feel like to get the most out of my lifting and the most out of my interval training, and that's how I need to do it. And then what I also do too is if I'm not doing cardio on a machine, normally I mean, it's not like I go cold turkey and I just start sprinting. You know, I've probably trained, I've moved around before that day, but I don't have a distinct warm up, distinct cool down, usually if I'm doing that kind of training. So what I also find that I like is doing kind of moderate intensity, steady state that I would normally do before and after at a different time period. So we've done like walks around the neighborhood, like a mile or two, something like that. Or I'll do, if I do have access to a machine, like at my apartment, there's, you know, like a little gym. So sometimes I'll just go in there and do 15 minutes of this elliptical cross trainer thing we have or whatever it may be. And I like breaking that up as well so that, again, I get the most out of everything. And I find for me personally that I'd rather train 3 times a day. I'd rather literally lift, do moderate intensity, and do some intervals, but all split up. Like when I do everything together, it's a lot harder for me, and I don't give my entire effort, my best effort. But there's times when I have to do that. There's times when I have to do everything all in one session. You know, I mean, obviously life isn't perfect, but on the days that I can space it out, I really try to, so I can get the most out of everything. And then my last little savior, I see that there. So this is really silly, and I'm sure everyone else has already been on board with this, but if you're not, you should get Powerade Zero. So I've been training at Paul and Missy's house in their garage gym, and we call it the sauna. Actually, it's the glute garage for Paul. Yeah. So the glute garage, which is also a sauna, and the other day they had Powerade Zero because we got a fridge for in there, and I never drank that kind of stuff because I tried one, and when I was sodium loading, actually, because there's a good amount of sodium in it, and it was a horrible flavor. What was like lemon? It was lemon shit. Oh, it was awful. So I hated it, and I thought that's, you know, what they all taste like, and I don't drink, you know, Gatorade or regular Powerade because of all the carbs. So which are great, but you know, not when I'm dieting. I'd rather eat that. So I tried this Powerade Zero, and I was like, man, I actually feel like I chugged it, and because I was really thirsty, and then so I lifted and I had one, and then we did the Prowler, and I also had one then, and I know this is probably really silly, but I felt so much better. So if anyone is in a calorie deficit and it is really hot and you're sweating a lot and you're really exhausted, I would really suggest trying to get those. Because, I mean, there is a good amount of, obviously there's sodium, potassium, there's also calcium, magnesium, but there's a decent amount of sodium in there. So I think that whatever ratio they have going on is really, really awesome. So definitely, yeah, good job, Powerade. I'm not sponsored by them, but clearly.
Or anybody else, really.
Yeah, no, but freelance over here. But yeah, so definitely if you haven't already gotten on board with the Powerade Zeros, I would definitely try them out. Like I said, especially if you're sweating a lot, like me, or if you're in a hot place
like Florida,
like South Florida. Yeah, I think that's it, right? You got
anything? Oh, I wanted to clarify. I think you accidentally said your sprints were 5 by 30 seconds.
They were 20 seconds?
They were 20 seconds.
Just kidding. I'm not that much of a badass.
Yeah, 30 seconds is going to be a pretty high. I would say that would be the longest interval you would want to do for HIIT, because that's
pushing the turning into an interval and not turning into a high intensity interval. Unless you're a trained sprinter and you're somebody who can do that, but I'm clearly not.
Her sprints were good. 5 by 20 seconds. She was moving pretty good for her slow self, but she was definitely hustling. So it was still high intensity, and then she would walk back, and that was her rest period, and then we'd hit it again.
Yeah, and then we would do a different walking kind of period later for my moderate intensity. Yeah. So thanks everyone for watching, and as always, I really appreciate the support, and let me know what you guys think. Bye!